Welcome back to the O Show. Everything crypto every single day. Today is the day for XRP. XRP futures officially are live. Futures are kind of similar to ETFs, but a little bit different. So when we're talking about futures is basically anticipating what the price is going to be at a later date in the future. So basically, let's say, for example, you think in a month that XRP will be $5.89. Then you would go ahead and place that future. If you think that XRP will be 20 cents in the future in a month, then you would go ahead and place that future. So this is exciting. It's incredibly exciting because when we saw Bitcoin and Ethereum get the spot ETF approval, they had to have a futures. It's not really law, but that's kind of how it works. So we're excited. We are here. We're live. We're going to go ahead and talk about that. Big shout out to the XRP army. I'm so happy for you guys. And yes, I hold a little bit of XRP here and there, but this is good news. This is good news because this is showing that the industry is moving forward. I know that the court case isn't necessarily over yet because Ripple and the SEC together need to refile something properly for Judge Torres because Ripple wants to make sure that they are allowed to participate in institutional sales of XRP because it's kind of part of their business model. But the legal system is slow. If you're born and raised in America like myself, you know the legal system is slow. It's just kind of how we do things. But it is almost over. And this is really great just for the entire XRP army and really crypto in general. A lot of analysts have talked about approvals for for spot ETFs, July to October, which I think that that's most definitely going to happen. But realistically, at the end of the day, this is just moving the space forward, especially for XRP. So welcome to the channel. Make sure you guys like this video. Always drop a comment with your thoughts because I read them. And if you're not subscribed, make sure to subscribe and set all alerts. Now let's go ahead and go through and talk about what's happening. I'm going to give you guys a detail. We're also going to talk about JP Morgan being a little ghetto, because that's kind of what they do. And we are going to talk about, fingers crossed it doesn't break. And we're going to talk about a bunch of other things. There's a bunch of liquidations last night or yesterday. I know the market has been super choppy. So make sure we got a poll going on. Did you get liquidated? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. But let's go ahead and get into the entire crypto markets. What is happening? Oh my gosh. First from Mr. Brad Garlinghouse. The launch of regulated XRP futures on CME Group marks a key institutional milestone for XRP. And very excited to report that Hidden Road cleared the first block trade on CME at the opening. So, two pieces of information here. Number one, the launch of regulated XRP futures is live May 19th. And if you guys remember correctly, Ripple put in an application to acquire Hidden Road at $1.25 billion. And Hidden Road cleared that first block trade on CME at the opening of XRP futures. So they have XRP and Micro XRP futures. Basically, with the XRP futures, those are larger size contracts and micro or smaller size or futures. So basically, maybe like the requirement might be 30 or something like that. But let's go and read our little notes over here. Oh, XRP futures is 50,000 XRP. Micro XRP futures is 2,500, and both are cash settled. And you have to remember the SEC is currently putting, there's a couple ETF issuers that have applied for in-kind settlements, which would be XRP settlements or Bitcoin settlements or Ethereum settlements. And CME is the biggest derivatives exchange, the biggest one. And past future launches had mixed effects over here, and we're talking about what's kind of going on with that. So we'll see how this XRP futures kicks off. But Ethereum futures, they launched in 2021 and didn't stop price from rising for months. CME launched Sol futures earlier this month, and Coinbase launched XRP futures already. And that was recently. So right around the corner there, and that's exciting. And I think the important key, not only is it regulated that he has here, but Hidden Road. So that's kind of giving me a little context on how bullish they are on the acquisition of Hidden Road. But that one does still need to get approval, okay? It still needs approval. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about this next story with Ripple. They signed 2 more payment system customers in the UAE expansion. I don't know what happened. Or did they did this go away? Did we get in trouble? Oh, here we go. Sorry about that, guys. So Ripple payment momentum is building in the UAE. Following our DFSA license, Zanbank and MamoPay are now live on Ripple payments, bringing always on blockchain powered cross-border payments to one of the world's top remittance hubs. So we know that Ripple and the UAE, they had a meeting, and I reported on that. I put a short out for you guys. It's on TikTok, it's on Instagram, and it's on YouTube, so you can go back and watch that. But again, this is really important because they're just expanding their services on a global scale. The expansion follows Ripple's Dubai Financial Services Authority license approval in March. Remember, they had to get approved in March to do that. And the license allows Ripple to provide end-to-end global payment services in the region. And Ripple Payments operates already in over 90 markets and processes 70 billion plus in global transactions. Zanbank plans to launch an AED-backed stablecoin, which is, we'll talk about the Genius Act in the United States of America stablecoins in a bit, so hold your horses. And Mamo aims to offer faster, more reliable cross-border payments via Ripple. So again, congratulations to Ripple. Congratulations to the XRP Army. I'm excited for you guys. Let's go ahead and give shout outs to all of the O Army members. If you want to become an O Army member on YouTube, it's like $3 or $4 a month, but you get special shout outs. And also shout out to everyone watching me on Rumble, Twitch, and of course, my TikTok babes. So good morning to Mr. D, love you. Good morning to Mr. R, to gorgeous Alexandra, to Mr. Legend, gorgeous Alexandra again, Mr. R, Mr. R, Mr. R, Mr. Gamer. Who else do we got over here? Who else? And of course, Mr. John Legend. All right, let's go ahead and get back into it because we have quite a bit to cover today. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the market because it looks like yesterday we got the highest Bitcoin weekly close in history. And the market's kind of reacting a little bit funky over here, right? So if we go ahead and take a look over here, the Bitcoin weekly close was the highest in history because we closed at about $107,000. Yesterday, we got liquidations because a lot of people were shorting and longing and being ridiculous with their leverage, which again, if you guys want to use my ref link, got one for Femex down below, and you can get up to $30,000 bonus, I believe. Not your keys, not your coins, and read the terms of service. But there was large liquidations across the board over the past 24 hours. If we take a look over here, 177 million of short liquidations and 445 million worth of long liquidations because people were longing when price got a little bit volatile. Now, taking a look today, we're a little bit down when it comes to altcoins, but that is okay. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at Bitcoin. Shout out to the vet community. We love it. Also to you guys, I am going to be at Bitcoin 2025 this year. If you use code WendyO, you save 10%. I've pinned it in the chat. It's in the description. And I also have it in the comments down below. So if you're interested in going, please use my ref link. That helps me. It helps the channel. And you get a 10% discount. They're going to let me do a little bit meet and greet. So I'll let you guys know when I have the time for that. And if you want to come say hi, that would be great. So let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly close because we got to analyze this. This was crazy. All right. So yesterday we got the Bitcoin weekly close. Okay. So we opened here at 103,000. We closed at 107,000, and we got a swing wick low to 101,000. Again, this is incredibly bullish for me, this particular candle. The reason why is because even though we had that swing wick low, we were still able to close above last week's close, May 5th, at about $104,000 here. We closed above, we opened at $104,000. And this marks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weekly consecutive green candles. The reason why this was the highest weekly close in Bitcoin history is because the previous all-time high close in Bitcoin history was at about $104,000. We closed at $106,000. Now, when we take a look at the daily, we're starting to get a little bit of a pullback. And that's normal. That can happen. Raider, you guys know him in the chat. He's called for a possible correction with the Bitcoin gap. I want to say about it's between $90,000 and $94,000. So even if we were to go back down to about $90,000, I wouldn't be worried in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying it's going to happen anytime soon, but it is a possibility. Gaps can eventually, they can fill at times. But overall in the weekly, we're still looking okay. Taking a look at the daily looks like she wants to, pop back down, but we were able to get back above above 104,000, which was the weekly opening. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart looks like we want to rock back up to about 106,000. And that's currently where the most important support or resistance is on the daily. Hold on. No, actually, we got 108, really 108,000. And then from there, pretty close to all-time high. So we're ramping up, getting ready to go over here. And just as long as we really continue to close above 102,000, I'm fine. I'm happy. Ethereum tried to break and close above 2,500. We even moved down to 23, 22, and we're trying to get back above 2,500. We are looking a little bit overbought, so we'll see what happens. Solana is also still consolidating between 164 and 184. Not too bad. SUI rocked up to 397, currently holding support at 380, and XRP is back testing again support on the trend line. Link right here, we are at about $15.71, bounced off the support here at $14.79. And then Cardano, we got a little bit of Cardano drama that's happening, which we'll talk about. I kind of saw it on X, but we'll dive deep in it today. And honestly, I like the Cardano community. I don't know why people are fighting, but after we kind of cover it together, I will give you guys my thoughts. And then, of course, we have HBAR over here. HBAR is currently at 19 cents, kind of just consolidating here between 20 and 17 cents. And that's kind of what's going on with the crypto market over here. Now, let's get into this next story, okay? JP Morgan. Oh, don't we love JP Morgan? JP Morgan. JP Morgan. Remember when JP Morgan did not like Bitcoin? It has a problem. Yeah. Well, apparently 4 trillion asset manager JP Morgan to allow clients to buy Bitcoin. This is according to Jamie Dimon. And I bet you some of you remember this clip. This was just about a year ago. And shout out to Alex. He went ahead and reminded me about this clip. He commented.
Yeah, but gold's limited in supply.
So is Bitcoin.
And it's been used. So you think so, huh?
I do.
I think there's a good chance that when we get to that 20 million Bitcoins,
they'll go to 42.
No, that Satoshi's going to come on there, laugh hysterically, go quiet, all Bitcoin's going to be erased.
I think, man.
How the hell do you know it's going to stop at 21? I've never met one person who told me they know for a fact they take that
mathematically, it can't happen because.
Okay, so we know that Jamie Dimon has said terrible things about Bitcoin in the past, and he just continues to Jamie Dimon, exactly. Yeah. So what does that mean? So basically, money talks. And that's why it's important to pay attention to what these guys say, what these big TradFi guys say, with all this money say, but really focus on their actions instead. Because of course they're going to want to allow their customers to buy Bitcoin because they want to get that bag. They want to make money. He's also said, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin. And earlier this year, he said Bitcoin has no intrinsic value. He said it's a top choice for criminals, which is really interesting because you can track everything on chain. You cannot track cash. It's a lot harder to track cash. He also called it fraud and predicted it will eventually blow up. And in 2017, he stated that he would fire any JP Morgan trader caught trading Bitcoin. But now, Jamie Dimon is allowing his customers over at JP Morgan Chase to buy Bitcoin. And guess what? He will also be profiting on it because it's a traditional financial firm and they will profit off of it. Cute, right? Now let's go ahead and get into this drama with Cardano. I don't know what's happening. So Charles H. promises audit and is deeply hurt by 600 million Cardano Treasury claims. What happened? Apparently, he denied claims of misappropriating 600 million in ADA, their native token, and says Cardano will publish an audit report following community backlash. Now let's go and read a little bit more about this. So they face allegations of misusing over 600 million worth of ADA. An NFT artist claims Charles H. used a Genesis key to take control of funds during the 2021 hard fork. A transaction, and again, this is all alleged, you guys. This is all alleged. I'm not trashing anybody. I'm just reporting on the story here. I like Cardano. I hold Cardano, and I think that the community is awesome. However, we still have to talk about these things. So, a transaction from August 24, 2021 shows 318 million ADA moved from reserves into staking or treasury. Charles H. says most of ADA was later redeemed by original buyers over 7 years. He denies any wrongdoing, and a full audit report is being prepared by the Cardano Foundation. He plans to step back from his personal social media interactions after the audit. So basically, it looks like the community is accusing him of doing some stuff. He's denying it, and they're going to do an audit. And this is the cool thing. the previous story, we had Jamie Dimon say that Bitcoin is used for criminals, and criminals only use Bitcoin. You use Bitcoin for illegal activity, but you can actually track what's happening on chain. And that's exactly what Charles H is doing. Charles H is saying, I didn't do this, so we're going to go ahead and do a full audit. Doing a full audit in crypto means utilizing blockchain analytics and pinpointing and saying, this is what happened, this XYZ. So they're going to go ahead and do an audit and basically show that that he didn't do anything wrong. And then the community can kind of go back and forth about it and figure out if there was wrongdoing and whatnot. However, when we're talking about cash, you cannot track cash. If you make an illegal purchase with cash, it's really hard to track. With crypto, you can do that. I agree with that. I agree with that statement, Mr. John Legend. I agree. I'm a holder as well. So we'll see what happens with the whole Cardano thing. I hope everything works out because I'm a holder and I like the community. But at the same time, there's always drama in crypto, especially when Bitcoin is closing at its highest weekly close ever. Now, today is an important day. We had talked about the Genius Act, okay? The Genius Act is basically a stablecoin act. And what had happened, I believe it was last week or the week before, the Genius Act was voted against by quite a few people. And they went ahead and they did revisions and they want to get it pushed through. So we should have an update today because the Senate is voting on it. And I will update you once I know what is happening. Also, the CPO of Coinbase, and I hope I do not butcher your name, sir, because we follow each other. I apologize, but Farrar said, passing stablecoin legislation is an urgent national priority. The future of finance will be built on blockchain infrastructure. The U.S. needs trusted digitally native U.S. dollar to compete in an increasingly on-chain global economy. The Genius Act isn't perfect, but it goes a long way to ensure that the U.S. dollar stablecoins issued in the U.S. under U.S. rule are a currency of choice on chain. So, as you guys know, I am not a big fan of the Genius Act and the Stablecoin Act. I tell this story a lot because it's relevant. I sat down with Hester Pierce, not at this last consensus, but the consensus before that, to advocate for retail and just chat a little bit. It was just an open meeting. Anytime she's traveling, you can put in a request to meet her. Now, with that being said, she says, do not sacrifice privacy and liberty and or any of those things for quick regulation, because anytime you push through regulation, it is very, very hard to get it appealed. So if it's bad regulation we're pushing through, or bad laws or bad bills, it's very hard to repeal or to modify it. So I disagree that we need to push this through right away. I understand the previous administration really kind of halted a lot of stuff that was going on with crypto, but at the same time, the Genius Act is important because it's about stablecoins. When we're talking about a US dollar, they're talking about a CBDC. Even though this current administration promised that they were not going to integrate or allow for a CBDC, that's exactly what this is. So I understand we need to push for innovation, but at the same time, we need the right type of legislation and laws and bills and acts and all kinds of stuff, so we don't sacrifice our future generations' privacy, liberty, and their ability to transact on chain. And again, I'm a really, really, really big advocate for retail being able to have the same privileges that accredited investors get, especially when it comes to stablecoins. So that's my take on that. We should be getting a bit of an update soon on what's going to happen. And remember when I told you guys to pay attention to, what's this? Hold on a second. Yes, this was yesterday. Yeah, this was yesterday. Apologies about that. John Thune filed a cloture on Genius Act again with a vote scheduled for Monday evening. So again, we're going to find out today. Now, actually, I want to go to this story. Sorry, over here. Now, Robinhood submits RWA tokenization regulatory proposal to the SEC. I want to go ahead and open this for you. I forgot to pull that link up because I was rushing this morning because I rush every time. But this is an important story, okay? Robinhood submits RWA tokenization regulatory proposal to SEC, includes launching a compliant RWA exchange using Solana and Base. So the reason why this story is really important is because, number one, we're seeing a lot of layer ones compete, even though Base is kind of like a layer two solution for Ethereum. But we've talked heavily about projects that have AI, DeFi, and RWAs, or DeFi. DeFi is decentralized AI. The fact that Robinhood is now applied to the SEC for RWAs, trading platform, is pretty amazing. That's why I love being partnered with projects like Hedera, because I think that they are going to have a really good chance to do incredibly well fundamentally long term, because they're focusing on all of that stuff. So with that being said, projects that are RWAs, if you want to be safe in the industry, projects that are RWAs, pay attention to those. If they're top 100, 200, and they're made in the USA, pay double attention to those. The ones, especially the ones that have applied for spot ETFs in America. I would probably focus on those the most. That's just my personal opinion, but you do what works for you and your family. Now let's get into this next little titty bitty over here. Remember when Coinbase had that social attack that happened to them? And it's probably going to cost them about $400 million. We reported on it. I got over 200,000 views on all platforms. Well, Binance and Kraken thwarted social engineering attacks similar to Coinbase. Allegedly, attackers tried bribing support agents, but Binance and Kraken's internal system blocked the attempts. So it's pretty, and obviously, attempts involved bribes to customer service agents and were traced to Telegram handles. So Binance and Kraken were able to kind of mitigate that. But at the same time, I've got a really big issue with using, in America, if it's an American exchange, you should have a customer support service center in America. Even if you're a healthcare company, even if you're a company that has sensitive data, you should be in the same country. You really should, in my opinion, because you can create punishments and laws and all types of stuff to kind of mitigate bad behavior. But again, it's pretty interesting that Kraken and Coinbase, or Kraken and Binance, were able to get rid of those. So again, it just kind of shows you where Coinbase's customer service is. So yeah. And again, I like using crypto.com and Kraken, and I like Binance as well. I just don't use Binance because I'm in the US. Now, this is an unfortunate story. UK crypto firm told to report every user and transaction or risk stiff penalties. The reason why this UK has a lot different laws than the US has, and they kind of pushed through MiCA, which at the time I appreciated, but at the same time, looking back, MiCA was a mistake. And again, this just shows how predatory some of these pushing through laws are, and you can't really go back and deal with it. Now, I want to talk a little bit quickly about what's going on with Treasury yields, because this is important. So Moody's lowered the U.S. credit rating due to high government debt. Government is spending more than it earns, causing concern. This has been going on since the 60s, Interest rates on U.S. government bonds, Treasury went up, and that's because they haven't lowered interest rates. Higher interest rates make it more expensive for the U.S. to borrow. Stock market and the dollar dropped after the downgrade. U.S. Treasury 30 yield reaches 5.02%, highest since November 2023, and investors are worried the U.S. might struggle to manage the debt. The downgrade could make U.S. investments less attractive. Some experts say downgrade won't change much in Congress, and China is slowly adjusting to how it holds U.S. debt, not fully pulling out. Trump plans to talk with Putin about ending the and overall markets nervous during debt, spending, and global tension. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. But before we do that, this is a funny story. It looks like White House on Moody's, Trump disagrees with the assessment. So of course Trump is going to come out and say, I disagree with the assessment, etc. Now, you're the only one in the chat. Shout out to Mr. Randall. Appreciate you from Rumble. Now, let's talk about what's happening. So inflation is transitory. People like Jerome Powell can modify it. Cost of goods and services are not transitory. When we're talking about inflation, lowering inflation or lowering the interest rate is not going to lower the cost of goods and services. Once those are increased, those generally stay up. It's very rare. I don't remember. I'm old. I don't remember those types of costs going down. So what's going to happen is eventually Powell's going to have to lower the rates because people are not going to be able to afford everything's going to a halt, and a lot of people are having to borrow money. Look at this right here. Hold on, hold your chonies over here. Let's see this. Serious credit card delinquencies, unpaid balances for at least 90 days, just at their highest level in 14 years. So when we look back at 2008, we saw a little bit of a dip. And then the housing crisis happened. And then 2010, it peaked. We are still on our way up. a lot of people say we're not in a recession. We're not in a recession. I don't know. This is what I'm seeing. I don't see how you don't see that we're in a recession and things aren't bad. So anyways, cost of goods and services are not going to go down if they lower interest rates, but they are going to have to lower interest rates so people can essentially refinance their debt at a lower rate. People can continue to purchase houses. Businesses can borrow money. The government can borrow money because it operates as a business. Now, with that being said, we have this company over here. Morgan Stanley's Wilson says buy U.S. stock dips after Moody's cut. What are they talking about here? What does this mean? Now, when I hear this right now, a lot of people, they're basically saying buy the dip. The reason why they want people to buy the dip is because the market is not going to continue to perform well, or they feel that it might not perform well. And there's very well could happen. Again, I believe the U.S. and China are on a 90-day pause, kind of with everything. Things are kind of up in the air a little bit. And if we get a negative announcement with the tariffs or the trade war, then we're going to have some problems. Then we're going to see the market crash. And again, that could be a black swan event that essentially pushes Bitcoin down. So what should you do right now? You should continue to practice self-education. You should balance your, maybe look at rebalancing your portfolios or doing whatever it is you need to do. But I would always anticipate market volatility. I'm hoping though, and I've called for quarter 3, quarter 4 for us to continue to do well. And I hope that, that's primarily due to the ETFs getting approved. And I'm hoping that, that comes to fruition, fingers crossed, but it is looking like Bitcoin could break all-time high, hopefully during Bitcoin 2025, which I'll be there if you want to go, links down below. But anyways, with that being said, be cautious, be diligent, and just know that if they lower interest rates, it's not going to lower cost of goods and services. Those are not going down. But overall, Bitcoin is a great hedge against this insanity that's happening, and hopefully things get sorted out. Powell can get fired, apparently. I didn't know that, but that's wonderful. Gamer says the real estate markets contributes 15 to 18% of the U.S.'s GDP. So if that stat is true, which I haven't fact checked it, but I appreciate you, Gamer, for putting it. I like to fact check all my stuff. Didn't have minutes to do that. But if that is true, they're going to have to lower interest rates because that's a big chunk. 15 to 18%, that's a massive chunk. It's like almost 1/4. Not there yet. But as always, you guys, thank you so much for joining the O Show. Everything crypto every single day. I got a bunch of content to do. Got to get things prepared for Bitcoin 2025. And I need to eat. I'm very hungry. Very, very hungry. But anyways, I will catch you guys. I'm going to drop something. I don't know if Powell could be fired. I have no idea. You have to double check that yourself. I don't think you can. But I'm going to post a video for you guys around 2:30 PT or 2 o'clock PT, either about the decision of the Genius Act or Michael Saylor getting sued.